Hi everyone, thanks for watching this video. This is a client management template that we've created. Even if you use another program for your workflow, or you currently do use ClickUp, this template could complement your existing setup. We've called it client management because it can be a hub for all your client information. What I have here is a space called client management, and within that space we have folders, and so we would have a folder for each client. What I have here is a new client template. So this has all of the information that's relevant for that client. What you're looking at here is a client overview. I'm just going to minimize. So this has all of the information for that particular client. My philosophy is wanting to be able to find what I'm looking for in 30 seconds or less. So what we need is something that has very little friction. We don't want a lot of apps, notebooks, sticky notes. We want to try and contain all of that information in one central place. And we believe that ClickUp can be that place for you. So this overview is essentially the hub for all of this client information. We have these are the lists that we saw before, and we can access those very quickly. We have bookmarks. So this is the area that you can have all of the quick links to all of the workflows, document management, particular worksheets for the client, their bank logins, any other apps that you use for them. You can have a client manual that's all built out, so that's easy access. The portal, any information that, or any links or information that you want for that client is all very easily accessible. We have some general information about the client. Sometimes that's handy when you're doing the work. We can have an area for all our notes and reminders. And this is the information that we've created in our lists. So this is just easily accessible. So if I go into each of these lists in a little bit more detail, just to show you the type of content, I'm just going to open up. So this is the communication list, and this is where I contain all of the communication I have surrounding this client. It can be with their accountant, it could be with the ATO, with the client themselves, HR Central, any advice that you receive. So essentially anything to do with the client and communication is in this area. So if we have a look at an example of a task for our accountant meeting, Robin has provided a really great video on how she works through the different types of meetings and what she does in ClickUp. This is just to give you just a brief idea of the setup in this template. So you can modify this as you see fit and create a template for what suits you best. but this is just an example that we've put together. And you can fill that out for each meeting that you do have. That's the accountant meeting. Again, calling the ATO, you've got all of the information, all of the action items. And what's good having it as a task is that you can also, set a due date. You can assign it to staff. You have a bit more accountability rather than just having it as, a sticky note or something on your calendar. You can add additional comments. You can email the client, with follow-up, or you can really do anything that you need to. You can even track the time that you're working on this particular call. And then this is just an example of the client meeting. And again, the same information. This just gives you an idea of all the different types of, things that you can have as part of this communication. If we look at employees, and not all of us manage the payroll for our clients. I've got a few clients that they manage it all themselves, but there are a few that they will send me the information. I will have to set it up in the software. And so I have a task for each employee. And here we've got, again, as a quick reference, all of the information that we want at our fingertips about this particular employee. The other area that I find really useful is if they're apprentices, trying to keep track of when they've moved on, when I need to review their pay rates. And again, by having it as a task, you can set that due date, for the end of their, first year. Email the client, confirm, be proactive. Do we need to update their pay rate? Have we had it confirmed that they've passed that step? And having it all in one place just makes things so much easier. We do have some custom fields that we can use for the employees. So we can have the link to their award. If you have a file for their pay guide, their super choices, their tax file declaration, employee details form, anything that you need for that client. I find in the comment area, any communication between myself and the client with regards to, bill, it could be his pay rate change. So I will insert a snippet of that communication. It might be something disciplinary. It might be, anything to do with that particular employee. By having it in this thread and in this task, any query that you have regarding this employee is all here. Asset register. Again, this is just to try and contain all the information that, we receive as bookkeepers in one area. So, for example, the client's purchased a new vehicle. I like to have a bit of a summary that will help me when I process my journal. So just making sure that, is the cost power cost limit, is there a trade-in, is there a payout, all of the information that we can glean from the documents that we're provided. You can, within this, create a template that would provide the steps. You notice that there's a new vehicle or there's a payment. You can email the client to request certain information. You can have a step-by-step on what you need to do in order to process this in the software. This is just a nice area that you can keep all that information. Just taking from the information you're provided, just having a snippet of all the relevant information. I also like to have their logbook information. And again, it's just a really great place to have all of this information in one spot. And again, by having it as a task, if there's any follow-up, you can create subtasks, you can, contain anything that you need in this task. So although we've got our overview, we've also got, for example, this is another way that we can view our assets. And so, when the asset's disposed, we can put that date in. We've got quick access to their invoice, the finance contract, the amortization schedule. With our employees, we can have a list of all our employees with all the relevant information and files that we have for them. And again, communication. So all of those meetings, all of the information that we have for those communications can be seen here. I've set it up in this overview screen. The way I like to use the overview is, as I'm working on the client, I have this on a separate screen, and it just makes it so much easier. Anything that I need is at hand. You can customize this overview. You can add a lot of different types of information, and certainly if there's other types of information other than those that I've listed here, there might be specific to certain industries information that you require. So you can certainly leave a comment if you feel that there's other areas that would be beneficial. We can certainly build those out in your template if you want. But I hope this is helpful. I hope this gives you a bit of an insight into ClickUp and its power, that you don't necessarily need to use it for workflow, that you can use it as a complement to your existing program, and it can contain all of those other areas of your business. Robin does have a QMS. You can also include your SOPs, a resource hub, a CRM. There's so many other areas that you can use ClickUp for in your business that works really well alongside any of your current workflow. So I hope that this was helpful, and if it's of interest for anyone, please get in touch.